Are you getting started learning Spanish and are looking for a course to provide you with a solid foundation of the language? Then you are in the right place. Hola amigos, bienvenidos a Aquí Spanish. Soy Alejandro, and in this video I'm going to share who the series of lessons are for, the methodology behind them, and what you can expect to learn by the end of this course. As I mentioned, this is the place for you if you are getting started with the language. If you are a complete beginner and know nothing about Spanish, or maybe you have just started but know the very basics, or you know already a few sentences and words but want to make sure you have a solid foundation, this is the course for you. We are going to start from the very beginning, learning things like the alphabet and greetings, and then progress from there. To ensure you can follow along, the lessons will be taught in English, and they are also aimed specifically at English-speaking adults. This can be seen, for example, in a lesson about cognates that we will do in Unit 0, learning that words ending in "ari" in English then go to "ario" in Spanish, and also when we teach grammar, we will do it from the perspective of English speakers. The Spanish I will be teaching is the one from Spain. I am from Palma de Mallorca in the Balearic Islands. And specifically, you will be hearing the variety or the accent known as La Variedad Septentrional, which is the one spoken in Madrid and also in the northern part of Spain, and the most commonly used in Spanish media. However, if you are learning or interested in more Latin American Spanish, the language is the same language basically, with obvious differences in pronunciation and some vocabulary. But if you are learning Spanish, it will be useful anyway. By now, you should know if these lessons could be useful for you. And it's time to dive deeper into the methodology and approach we are going to follow. Lessons are built following what is known as a project-based approach. This means that contents are organized around the end goal of performing a particular communication task in the end. This is different from many other courses out there, and especially videos here on YouTube, where you have to pick and choose different vocabulary videos and grammar that are all unrelated. We follow this sequence of contextualizing the contents, then going through a think and discover phase, practicing a bit more, and then applying all of those contents, as we said, in a certain task. Let's look at an example. In the first unit, the final project is to introduce yourself to another language student. In order to do this, you will need certain skills, like introducing yourself and exchanging personal information, explaining why are you studying Spanish, talk about what is of interest to you about the Spanish culture, also tell him or her about what things you do to study Spanish, and exchange some contact information. As you can see, this is a real-life situation, and we focus on what skills do you need to perform it properly. And the contents of each of the units are built around this purpose. The next principle we will follow in this course is an inductive approach to grammar. There are many philosophies out there. Some believe that grammar has no place in the learning of a second language when you are an adult, and others present grammar in a very, very traditional way. Here is a typical example of a textbook that presents you with a list of rules, long explanations of the theory, and then gives you a set of meaningless fill-in-the-blanks for you to complete and practice. This way of exposing you to the structure of the language is clearly not effective and does not translate to your ability to communicate confidently and use those structures in communication. A more modern approach starts always with a language model. That is a piece of content that is focused on meaning, on a real-life situation. Here's an example of, again, Unit 1, where there is an exchange of text messages between two people that are actually trying to do something. Then we use that language model to recognize and analyze a certain form that is inside that model. In this conversation, they use a lot of the present tense, and we try to recognize it and go through a period of analysis of this form. And lastly, with my help, you will discover and formulate the rule by yourself. So these are two very distinctive principles about what we are doing here in this lesson, in this course that we are offering on YouTube with a project-based approach and an inductive approach to grammar. We follow the best classroom evidence, the latest research on second language acquisition to make sure that we are providing you with an effective learning experience. Now let's continue with another of the pillars of our lessons and our approach. Some of the videos as part of the series will be dedicated to reading and listening comprehension activities. You will not only see lessons with content like vocabulary about this or this grammar concept, but also content centered around providing you input and helping you understand it. For example, you will be reading an email that one student sends to another, or watching a conversation between two people, and we will work with certain activities to make sure you understand and you can follow along. Another aspect that makes these lessons different from many other videos here on YouTube is that we will provide you with opportunities to interact, and we expect you to be a proactive student. This means answering to prompts in videos where we'll be asking a question, maybe leaving a couple of seconds of silence, and you need to reply with the answer. I will be also asking you certain questions, we'll be asking you to participate, and this will sometimes require you to write in the comments with a sentence or short text in Spanish. This is a fantastic way for you to practice, and we will be even checking some of these comments and providing feedback. And lastly, and most importantly, is that I will expect you to do the final projects. We follow a project-based approach. So at the end of each of the units, there will be a task that you will need to perform. And not just passively watch the videos and say, oh, okay, yeah, I think I can do that. No, actually try to do it. Sometimes you will be writing something or making a recording, whatever it is, try to do it. It's a perfect way to see if you have actually acquired the contents of the lessons, okay? Something you'll be hearing me saying a lot is no seas vago. In Spanish, this means do not be lazy, vago, lazy. And this means just don't passively watch the videos. Actually, interact with me, answer my prompts, write in the comments. Even if you are concerned you don't want to share certain things, just made up the things that you are saying, don't make it personal, but just use the language you are learning, and especially do the final projects, okay? So, no seas vago. And lastly, let's take a look at the contents of these lessons. The contents are going to be organized around 4 units. The first one is just unit 0 to learn some very basics to get started. There is no project here. There are just 5 lessons, things like the alphabet and greetings and asking for clarification. And in unit 1, we have the goal, as we already said, of introducing yourself to another language student, as well as creating your own study plan. In the second unit, the project is to introduce your best friend and describe his or her appearance and personality. And in the third and last unit, you are going to decide what gifts to buy to some relatives and friends. Let's take a closer look at the contents of each of these. As we said, the unit 0 is just to learn some very basics, things like greetings, saying goodbye, asking for clarification, things like how do you say this, what does this mean. We're going to learn some vocabulary around personality preferences in one of the listening activities we are going to be doing. We're going to learn about cognates too. And when we learn about greetings, we're going to also introduce small cultural aspect of them, right? Like the fact of giving 2 kisses, hugging, or handshaking when it's appropriate to do each of these. And lastly, the alphabet in terms of the pronunciation is also something we're going to cover throughout the course too, how to correctly pronounce the letters and sounds in Spanish. For Unit 1, in order to be able to introduce yourself to another language student, you are going to learn how to ask and give personal information, to express reasons and motivations. Remember to express why you are learning Spanish. Vocabulary around nationalities and professions, language learning activities, because as mentioned, you also will be telling the other person what things you do to learn Spanish. And regarding the grammar of this unit, some subject pronouns, the present tense, and the gender of nationalities and professions. And lastly, the sounds g, h, k, and th, which are a bit tricky and have different representations of letters, so we need to be paying closer attention to them that we don't cover in the alphabet lesson. In the second unit, you'll be introducing your best friend and describe her appearance or his appearance and personality. So therefore, describing people will be the main skill we're going to focus on, and vocabulary regarding social relationships, appearance, and personality. And regarding grammar, some lesson about possessives and the gender, position, and degree of adjectives in general. The culture of this unit, because it's about relationships, will be also a couple of lessons with neighbors and what they mean in Spain. Maybe there are some differences with other countries of the relationship with their neighbors, the household structure and divorce. And also we're going to do a fun lesson about couch surfing, right? And shared cars, an app that is very popular in Spain when you travel to share a car with someone else. And in the last and third unit, you are going to learn about interacting in a shop, how to express preferences and review experiences, everything important for the final project of being able to decide some gifts and buy those gifts for some friends. The vocabulary you are going to work on is around clothes, stores, products, the colors, and the verb llevar. The demonstratives, the articles, and irregular verbs are the grammar we're going to cover here. And lastly, some culture regarding purchasing habits in Spain and typical Spanish products in stores. And also linking, concept in pronunciation that is very important to sounding more natural. The fact that you put words together, you do that in English too, and Spanish is no exception. I hope by now you know if this course is right for you, you understand the principles behind the lessons, and you have a good idea of the contents you can expect to learn after you have finished the videos. But if there are still any questions or you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments. I will read each and every one of your comments. As we said, this is about interactivity and it goes both ways. So if you would like to acquire a solid foundation of the Spanish language, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out any of our future lessons. We'll be publishing one of them each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday throughout this course. And if you are watching more than a week after the release date of this video, I will leave a link in the description to the playlist where you will find the other lessons in order. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please give it a like. Es gratis. It's free. Soy Alejandro de Key Spanish y nos vemos en clase.